All righty. So back to my original question, which is a quick show of hands. How many of you guys are happy with your branding, both your firm or company's branding, as well as your own personal branding? Okay, Steve, good. Anyone else? All right, Key, good. All right. So, the purpose of the webinar is to teach you how to improve your business and personal brand so that you get and keep more clients, as the title suggests. For those of you who are looking for those ideas, great. For those of you who feel comfortable with what you have, hopefully I'll give you a few tips and tricks that'll help you, take your branding up a notch further than you are right now. So with that, want to move right into it. So what is a brand? What do you guys, when I say the idea of branding, what comes to your mind? And any of you guys can unmute and throw out some ideas.
Cattle.
Say again, Steve?
Cattle and horses. Personal
Okay.
possession.
All right. Yes, I wasn't going that direction, but being that you're from the Midwest, I get it.
I'm from
Anyone
Midwest
else?
New York City.
Anyone else have a thought on what is a brand? All right, let's try this from a different angle. What do you think of when I say the word Mercedes? What comes to mind?
Money.
Money. Okay, any other words?
Top end brand. Top end brand.
Top end brand. Okay.
Prestige. I suppose asking what the question is, what is a brand? I guess it's people's belief or perception about a person or a company or a product.
Okay. All right, cool. Like that. Any other thoughts on the word Mercedes?
I'll go one further.
Used to be a quality brand. I mean, more than wealth. It was more of a quality brand because you'd see it sold all over the world.
Okay. Hopefully it changes around. What do you think of when I say the word Volkswagen?
Germany.
Okay.
Inexpensive still goes with it.
Okay. Any other words?
Reliability.
Family.
Sorry?
Family. A family
Okay.
sedan.
Okay. Interesting. All
Great
right, how about the word?
engineering.
What's that?
Great engineering.
Okay. How about the word Porsche or Porsche?
Fast. Race car.
Okay. Anything else?
Money. German. Engineering.
Okay, there you go. You're back again, Steve, with those. All right, good. That's what. So obviously German and engineering are things that in your mind click. Okay. So real quick, I'll give you a couple definitions of a brand. One is a brand is a name, term, design, symbol, or any other feature that identifies, one seller's goods or services as being, distinct from those of another. That's the American Marketing Association's definition of a brand. So here's another one. Branding refers to the process of creating and highlighting your law firm's unique identity through messaging, visual elements, marketing strategies, emphasizing your promise or unique selling proposition that sets you apart. Okay, so, another way to think about this is it's the image or idea people have when they think about the service, or the goods that your company provides. So, when you think about some of the terms that you guys just put out there, the idea can be, both practical and image, so it's inexpensive, or it can be emotional. John said, prestige. That's a feeling. And that can translate to a law firm. If you're a trust and estates attorney or firm and people think that you're really smart, it's kind of practical. But if they think that your firm is going to help them achieve their dream retirement, that's highly emotional. So, this is not just about, practical traits. When we get into branding, we're really also thinking about the emotional triggers that come with it. So, we want those images and emotions to come to people's mind when they hear our name, see our logo, hear our messaging or whatever. So, the real goal here of branding is we want to give meaning to our firm, the services that we provide by creating that image, for a prospective customer. We want them to identify with our firm and to choose us over the competition. The other purpose of the brand is not only to provide an identity for our customers, but also to our employees and our stakeholders. So, the thing about branding is in many ways, it's kind of like developing a personality. And that's, something that sounds very intangible and hard for people to, put their arms around. So what we're going to try to do here today is make this a little more concrete. So we're going to talk a little bit about the process, the steps to go through to help you develop a brand. The first one, and this is something that John McCarthy talked a little bit about last week, was, who is your client avatar? Who's your target audience? I think John was referring specifically to your ideal client. And you need to resonate, your brand really needs to resonate with that client avatar, with that ideal client. Why do you want this ideal client? Well, usually they bring you the kind of work that you like to do and enjoy. 2, you enjoy working with them. And 3, as John pointed out, they usually pay you on time, and that's important. So, there's a lot of reasons why you want to continue and perpetuate this client avatar. So the thing about a client avatar is it's more than just saying, hey, I want a person between the age of 25 and 54, who lives in my county, region, whatever it is. It zeroes in on exactly who they are. So are they male or female? How old are they? Do they have children? If so, how old are their children? Do they work blue collar or white collar? What are their hobbies? What are their activities? What's their household income? What do they like? What do they dislike? So, another way to think about this is, what are the goals of your client? Not you, what are the goals of your client? And what do they hope is going to happen by retaining your firm? So the first place that we have people start is to go to their CRM. So, and hopefully you all have a CRM. And at minimum, what the CRM will do for you is it'll get you all your basic demographic information. So it's a good way to start there, and maybe even doing a little segmentation of your client avatar. With that, I hope that you also have a website, and I really hope that you have Google Analytics attached to your website. GA, can provide you a surprising amount of information. So not only is it going to help you with the demographics report, it's also going to identify where your site visitors come from. It's got extensive reporting on people's interests because it's following them around the net. It knows where they're going. Another thing that's really neat is that, it gives you insight into what people are searching. So what is it that they're typing in to the search bar? How many impressions is that getting, and what kind of clicks for these various keywords is your site generating? It tells you a lot about somebody's what's motivating them. Some of the other things that you can get out of GA is that it will also tell you how people navigate your site. The reason that's important is that you're going to see what pages of your site people engage with and spend time on, and where they bounce and move out of quickly. So you really need to pay attention to the content on those sticky pages, because that's going to tell you a lot about what is of interest to your clients. Another really rich source of information is social media. So who follows you? Who reacts to your posts? What posts do they react to? Facebook's Audience Insight report is really a rich source of information. So it'll obviously give you demographic information. It gets you really detailed information about people's interests and behaviors. So, it's one thing to say that somebody is a sports fan. It's a different thing to say, hey, they're New York Giants fans or New York Jets fans if you're in this region, or whatever it is. Facebook will really help you narrow it down really, really granularly. Other social media have similar things. LinkedIn just recently added interests in its targeting. So their audience insight report has, some valuable data in there. It's not as robust as Google Analytics and Facebook. It's not as developed, but it's still got some good stuff. And if you don't have anything else, it's a great starting point. So ideally, what's going to happen is that your client avatar is going to come back to you and say that, I'm looking for Bill Jones. He's 41. He's married. He works in construction. His wife works as well. He's got 2 kids in grade school. He plays on his local softball team and coaches one of his kids' t-ball teams. He follows his local sports teams, and he loves to barbecue. Now with that, I think you would all agree you have a much clearer image of who you're going after. Contrast that, let's say, with Mary Smith, who's 52. She works in professional services, as does her husband. They own their own home. They own 3 cars, but they have 2 kids, one in high school, one in college. She's active in her professional peer groups and belongs to a yoga studio. She and her husband eat out twice a week, at least. So I think you would agree, again, very, very clear picture on who it is that you want to target then. And then depending on how, let's say, your law firm is segmented and what kind of practice areas you cover, you might have multiple client avatars. So the next thing you're going to want to look at is to create a mission statement. It's got to be a really clear mission statement. I probably could do an entire webinar on mission statements. There are a lot of opinions as to what a mission statement is and what should go into it. We use the example or definition that I'm going to give to you because we think it gets to the core of what you need, and it helps you, get everything that you're going to need to develop a brand without maybe spending too much time on it. So the first thing that a mission statement has to have is your why. Why is it that you exist? Why do you do what you do? What is your purpose? And who do you serve? Second is what makes you different. We often call this the USP, or unique selling proposition. So what will happen using your firm that won't happen using any other firm out there? This isn't an easy one. You might have to dig a little bit, but you need to do that. And it's really important for everything else in your branding process to have that clear USP. And the third thing is you need to have a very clear set of values. Clients and employees both want to understand what's important to the firm. So, you need to know and live your values. Your values will directly relate to your why, and your why and your values are what's going to create the emotion. So some people will tell you need a vision statement. I don't think it's necessary, but if you want to put one together, it certainly isn't going to hurt. The third part of the process is then developing your brand personality based on your client avatar and your mission statement. So this is sort of like the client avatar that represents your firm. So what is it that we sound like? What is our education level? What is our demeanor? Sometimes this gets lumped in with a brand persona. There is a difference. I think it's a nuance that isn't necessary to delve into here or in your process. What's really important, though, to think about is how does your brand personality relate to your client avatar, and how does your client avatar relate to your personality? Your brand personality is really what's going to define your brand voice. So the fourth step of the process is to perfect your visual assets. A lot of folks, put this earlier in the process. I think it should come last because, again, it's going to be informed by who your client avatar is, what your mission statement is, what your brand personality is. The thing about, this is that, the parts of a visual asset, your logo, your colors, your fonts, your tagline. Again, knowing who you're trying to speak to, what it is you're trying to convey and how you're trying to do it's going to inform how those assets are developed. You could probably also do an entire webinar on the psychology of color. So again, it's great to have these other steps done first. We recommend that when you get to this step, you work with a branding professional / graphic artist who does this regularly. You're going to come out with a better product. If you do, they'll probably create a brand guide for you, which you then use to make sure that all of these assets are created exactly the same and used exactly the same across all of your communications. So with that, then the question comes down is, law firm branding versus personal branding. Professional services are a bit different from corporate branding in that, individual lawyers or accountants are often judged on their own ability to bring in new clients, which means that even if the firm has a strong brand, if the attorney does not, they may have problems developing and generating the volume of business that is necessary. So, for the law firm, one of the things that we want to focus in on is, again, the law firm's promise, and how it shapes perceptions of the firm. Next of all, what does the firm stand for? Coming back to those values again. And then, of course, what makes the firm different? So, and then we move over to personal branding. Again, one of the things that happens is, sometimes you'll be in a situation where you'll hear the name of a law firm or accounting firm, and yet a specific lawyer or accountant will come to mind. So it's really important to focus on that personal branding if you're in professional services. And again, it's what do you promise as the attorney or the accountant to your clients, and how do you maintain that? A lot of times, you're in a firm that does, let's say, trust and estates. I said that earlier. You have a subspecialty. So, again, what is your subspecialty? And again, what is your differentiation from the other people in the area who practice that? And finally, here we're going to focus a little bit more on the merits and accomplishments of the individual attorney. So, and again, how do we communicate those attributes consistently? So why go through this whole exercise? What are the benefits of branding? So common theme that you've heard me talk about so far is that it differentiates you from your competitors. Accounting, legal, I don't care what it is,
Yeah,
it's
Chris.
a very crowded practice field.
Yeah, I was looking at,
There's a lot of folks out there doing what you do.
offer to
So
Jack,
it helps that with
the
that.
children, one turning children.
Whoever's talking, can you please mute? Thank you. Second reason for, branding is you're going to build connections faster. Emotions are critical in decision-making and in selling. So if you're able to convey those, you're going to build that connection faster and establish trust more quickly. It also, increases loyalty. So if somebody chooses a brand that they believe in and that brand experience matches what they, imagined, their attachment to that brand increases. So that is going to increase the word of mouth advertising and referral advertising that much faster. The fourth one, kind of pretty obvious, is it provides marketing focus. So, when the firm has a strong sense of brand, you're able to, maintain that from your website to, your social media to any other communications that you use. And that consistency is also going to be important in reinforcing the brand. And finally, it's going to help with employee retention. Something that John McCarthy spoke a lot about last week was how do you reduce expenses in your firm? Well, turnover is expensive. Turnover is a cost. Again, if people want to work for a company they believe in, and it helps them to develop pride, and that helps with retention. So the other thing about it is it also helps with recruiting. So if you have a strong brand, people want to be a part of that. They want to be associated with that. And people who have a strong brand themselves are going to find an affinity with that. So that's kind of what I have for you today. And now we'll throw the floor open to questions. And Bill, if you want to unmute everybody. Everyone's still muted, Bill.
No, you have the ability of unmuting.
Oh, okay. Or you can. So any questions?
Yeah, John, I think I might have missed this in your presentation. I get branding. I've been through some branding exercises with a few branding experts, and it's amazing to go through. It really ties everything together, from the business, your objectives, your culture, to your marketing, to your clients. It is really, really cool. But have you got any statistics or case studies or something where you've worked with a company, gone through these exercises and saw that the uplift, either in clients or the right kind of clients coming in to deliver more profit?
That's a good question. And no, John, I haven't put anything together like that, but it's a good suggestion. And admittedly, I'm a little weak on case studies. So
Okay, I'm
yeah.
going to throw out a question, John, that you're going to get so much feedback. It's going to be unbelievable.
Oh boy.
When you do the branding, would you think you'd want to do a copyright check on the brand? Because it's no use spending hundreds of thousands of dollars when all of a sudden you're going to turn around and get sued. Okay, IP attorneys, go get them.
Yeah, I think the word is actually trademark,
Ah.
to check for trademarks. And, but yes, this is always something that's, you know, a very good idea. It's something that's recommended to every trademark client, potential client who comes to our firm and is interested in developing a trademark. To your point, Bill, if there's a problem with the brand, trademark, you know, problems or what have you, not only is there a lot of wasted money spent on developing a brand where a registered trademark may not issue, but quite apart from that, whether or not the law firm wants to get a registered trademark, they could still be subject to some legal problems if somebody would come after them for trademark infringement. And we also have something in this country called common law trademarks, which is something separate from registered trademarks, and that's a whole other topic. But the short answer is yes, you should check.
Yeah, and part of the reason why I suggested, you know, using professionals, especially with your assets, is that's certainly an area where a lot of problems arise, and that's, you know, somebody who's an expert in the field. That's one of the first things they're going to research. So,
A short story that might be entertaining. A good friend of mine was an associate GC on a major company. They wanted to rebrand, so they spent multiple six figures to do the research on the new branding name. And then near the end, they found out somebody already had it. So what did they do? They went out and bought it, because there was a small company that was using the brand name. And then after they sold it for a pittance, I think, they found out who bought it. And they're like, wow, I could have sold it for a lot more.
yep. Also, a time to be aware. Any other questions?
Not a question, but a comment. Thank you very much, John. You covered the gamut pretty well.
Thank
And
you.
I think that you made something simple look very complex. And that's why they need experts like you and me. Because once again, it's like going out fishing. You know, you're just not going to drop a hook in the water and expect to catch a fish. You have to have the right bait. It has to be the right color, the right scent. You have to be in the right place. All those things are part of the marketing campaign. The ideal client, where they hang out, craft the message for that client, And then maybe you'll, you know, pull in a trophy fish if you do everything the right way. Thank you very much.
Yep,
Okay.
super.
I was
If-
gonna comment that I appreciated that you kind of broke it down into some clear steps. You know, when you offer a variety of services, it can be difficult to kind of hone it in, I guess, a little bit, and just so the importance of clarifying what is the key message you want to get across and how to do that in a step-by-step way was helpful. Are you able to share these slides, or I don't know if that's
Oh, sure. Yeah. I will get the deck over to Bill and let him disseminate.
great. Thank
And I
you.
think we're gonna make the video available as well, correct, Bill?
As soon as we finish the series and we add the video page to the website, all the
Okay.
videos will be available.
All right. So not immediately, but down the line. Cool.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have to wait a little while because we're putting them all up at the same time. Any other questions before I stop the recording? I guess that's a no.